Hello, good morning. Oh my God, good morning. It is a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Y'all know I love to have fun. My name is Sheila King, the owner and founder of Eliminating Excuses, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We are having an event January 8th in person in Houston, and I am so excited because we're going to have a series of conversations with the three speakers, not too long, but we wanted to bring you some different points and conversation around their particular topic. So today I have the amazing Erica Brooks Henry. I want you all to celebrate with me. And Erica, please tell the people who you are, how they can reach you, all of that good stuff. And we'll recap that on the back end, but I just want them to know who you are.
Okay. Hello. I'm Erica Brooks Henry. I am a wealth and marketplace strategy. Some of you may be familiar with my brand. I know my value, and I like to just say, God has given us the ability to get wealth. I provide a custom roadmap. How do I do that? I do that through life insurance, investments, and helping you scale your business and entrepreneurship. And so we'll talk a little bit more about scaling, but basically the totality of it to help you create and have long-lasting generational wealth. How can you reach
Absolutely.
me?
Go ahead.
On Facebook and on Instagram. It is on Facebook. The page is I Know My Value. It is spelled exactly how it sounds. And on Instagram, I Know My Value Original. Sheila, can't hear you.
Here we go. I love it. I love it. Absolutely love it. You can sit and plan all day, and then technology decides to technology.
But that's okay.
It's always okay, right?
Yes.
Okay, so while we're waiting for these AirPods to kick back in, since you can hear me and they can hear you. So one of your particular topic is leadership, that you'll be discussing, growing, scaling, all of that great stuff. But what I want you to do, one is to tell us what areas of how do you show up as leadership? Like what are your areas of expertise as it relates to leadership?
I would say the first way that I show up as leadership is constantly looking at myself and owning. We hear things about who's the common denominator. If there's more than one person that have said something about us, good, better, and different, then some of it, may be true.
Yes.
And so the first way I show up is I don't take criticism as a bad thing. I don't take feedback as a bad thing. Is especially when a person has good intent.
Yes.
I begin to evaluate those comments or evaluate that commentary and see what can I do better, or how can I manage perceptions. I know that we say that perception is reality. I actually don't believe that. I believe sometimes it's that person's reality or it's that person's mindset. But I do believe in some areas we need to manage those perceptions, because we can come off a certain way and we don't know it because we're not looking at ourselves. So the first thing with leadership for myself personally, and I recommend for others, is to look in the mirror and don't look at John Doe is jealous of me, such and such is just negative, but look at, you know what, Erica, I remember once a time I was a chronic procrastinator. And I'm seeing Sheila, her gifting and anointing is to help us eliminate excuses. Back then, when someone told me you're late, you're what, blah, 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 I made excuses. So because I looked at myself, now that's not on me.
Yeah.
I know how to not only start, but I know how to finish. The other part of leadership is a big thing, is going way back to even childhood and thinking about, do I have any possible traumas that I don't know about?
Oh, wow.
So counseling. And so it doesn't matter how great you think you are. There's always, I believe that coaches have coaches. And even in that other space, I may not have needed someone for the spiritual side of counseling, but I needed to set boundaries. And as a leader, it's important, sometimes people assume that people need to have 24-hour access to you, or there are no limitations. So I had to learn to set boundaries as leaders. And I myself, because I love hard, didn't know how to do it. I had to do it
Wait,
through counseling.
let me ask you this because sometimes we are unaware of our leadership style and the way that we come off to those that we are partnering with, those that we employ, those things like that. So, how, with the first thing that you said, how do you go about um, finding out the right assessment of your leadership style? Because sometimes people can be hearing from their broken place. We know that. But how do you know? Do you survey people to find out how good of a leader you are? Do you ask for feedback? Like, what is your area of expertise when it comes to, or a conversation around developing you as a leader?
I have asked people that I've worked with corporately, and I've asked friends, maybe, and clients that I've done business with, what do you believe that I'm good at? Or as a leader, I know what I believe I'm good at, but if you wanted me to speak on a topic, or if you wanted me to help even develop leaders, that specific topic, what would you want me to speak on? And so getting the
Mm,
different feedback from people let me know that maybe something that I didn't think I was as strong in, they really thought that was my strong suit. And so what
okay.
I learned through surveying, and it was surveying people that really knew me, not just through casually, or people that work with me at least for 6 months or more on a project. What I learned is I always knew that I'm a servant leader, but I would say my number one quality is relationship building. I still
Okay.
believe that although we're in a social media era, etc., it is still important to build relationships organically in the old fashioned way. Pick up the phone, have some coffee, and really get to know a person beyond email, etc. Or another style is, because I'm a relationship builder, the five love languages, I spill that over into
Yes.
leadership. On my teams, I may realize someone likes words of affirmation. So I'm going to make sure they're going to get all the kudos that they need. Someone may like gift
Interesting.
giving, you could tell that. And so if it's within the parameters of corporate America and we're able to do a $25 or $10 something, I may do a $10 Chick-fil-A gift card to buy lunch, or if somebody did something, here's $25 from Amazon. If it's within the compliance, and then just learning that what drives them, what motivates them. And that's my style, is really dealing with people differently and not just with people as a whole.
I absolutely love that you said that you use the 5 love languages. One, because I never thought to use that corporately, right? I
Yes.
mean, I know with the children, those that you are friendships, relationships, but I never thought that actually makes a whole lot of sense.
Yes, yes, I mean, it does. It could be, think about acts of service. So what if you have someone that their bandwidth, they have zero bandwidth for something, and you know how to do it. And you say, you know what? Let me take care of these two issues for you.
Yes,
Or it may be, let's say you have a small business office and there's a cleaning crew, and you don't make it hard for them. I'm going to take out the trash. I'm going to do some other things.
yes.
And so those are just things that I believe help in the way that I can serve my team. And I understand that each person's love language is different and their needs are different.
So, oh my God, we got to go a little further with this because what's interesting is that I used to say, and I've said this recently, like you don't have to give me all those extra words, right? Like at work, at in the corporate side, I don't need you to boost my booty up and like, oh, you so great. Like,
Yes.
show me the money, okay?
Yes.
And so but there are people on the team that are like, they never acknowledge me for this. And, I really wanted to be appreciated. Even just saying, I'm sick of these pizza parties. I don't want a pizza party.
Yes.
Tell me, like, actually tell me that I'm helping you out, that I've taken this load
Mhm.
off, that I'm doing a great job. And to a degree, I know we all have those elements where we want a little bit of, depending on the season, and like, I want the money
Yes.
and I want you to put me on this platform because I've done a great job. But how do you, as a leader, first personally, so do you take it yourself, the 5 love, like, do you know what you are, and is it the same both corporately and personally? Like, can you automatically assume that it's going to work similar in those two environments?
Well, I think that it is going to be more effective with personal relationships for sure. And of
Hmm.
course, in corporate America, you have boundaries. Like, for example, if someone's love language is
It's
physical
physical
touch,
touch. Yeah,
then
no.
you have, that's a limitation, in corporate
Right.
America. So what I think it is it's really, I even say just you use discernment, and you think about those conversations you've had with people, and when you realize when they've had those conversations, like, she didn't say thank you, or he didn't say thank you, or I did all of this
Mm,
work and someone else got the credit, then you realize that words of affirmation are important to them.
yes.
When we've had, maybe giving away t-shirts or giving away desk gifts and things, and you saw somebody was just so excited to get that, or when they win something, oh my god, I won this gift card to Longhorn or whatever, receiving gifts is their love language. So you begin to observe,
Yes.
and you begin to learn the team. And so it works when you have really, I say discernment is number one, observation would be number two. And sometimes people, even though you're speaking their love language, sometimes it doesn't always, it's not a cookie cutter, because some people don't know where you're coming from. They're not used
Correct.
to a
Hmm.
leader carrying beyond, get
The
this work
assignment.
done, etc.
Yep.
But
Hmm.
what I do is I still am going to be who I naturally am, which is I care about you as a person. You don't have to get any personal with me, share any of your personal life, but I want you to know that you're more than just a number. You're
Yes.
not just a resource on the team, but I want to make sure that you're well and you're valued. And I
Okay.
believe that ties back to my brand. I know my value. I want to also other people to know I know their value and I respect their value.
And as a leader, no matter what their position is, as far as what they need or what they require for their job, is as a leader and it's important to recognize people in every level.
Absolutely.
No matter what their position is in the company, as a leader, the expectation is you should acknowledge everyone that contributes, especially on the small business side. Like corporately, I'm sure that, like with our company, the company that I work for, they do things for cohorts. So you got the admin operations people get something, you have the consultants, you have the leadership, but there are different levels that someone is assigned to in order to show we appreciate your contribution to the company. So is that one of the things that that you suggest for leaders when you're developing them, to find a way to acknowledge? And if so, how often do you encourage leaders to acknowledge in some form those people that are contributing to their success?
I believe that it should be not necessarily on a regular cadence, but I believe that there should be some kind of something, maybe at least quarterly. Like for example, admin assistant day. I don't think that you should wait to acknowledge, because that is a very difficult, hard role. So many different
Exactly.
moving parts. Don't wait to one day a year to buy some
Yes.
flowers, to take the person to lunch, etc. Because I was an executive
Yes.
assistant before, and I know that literally your life is dedicated to that leader.
Absolutely.
And so I believe that you should consistently acknowledge appreciation for them, but something on a larger scale, maybe quarterly. If you're doing like a luncheon, hey, we're going to take you out to lunch. If it's a on-site environment, we're going to take you out to lunch maybe once a quarter, or we're going to do something. It could be something as simple as a $10 gift card. It could be
Yeah.
something like a or certificate or something. It can be something different every time, but constantly making sure that a group of people feel welcome. And I do believe that you don't need to always separate people within a company. This is a entry level. These are entry level individuals. These are contributors. These are managers and leaders. I believe that bringing people together brings together cohesiveness. And I
Yes.
think so. Even having a fireside chat where people can just share their feelings and
Yes.
what can we do differently to make sure that I'm not missing the mark. I can
Yes.
think that I'm serving you well and I'm showing you appreciation as a leader, but what do you would like to see? Or even if you're getting what you need, have you seen another pocket where someone else or another group of people don't feel acknowledged? So I think it's asking questions and not assuming as well that I'm doing a good
Mm.
job.
That's as a leader. I love that.
Yes.
So just so, girl, this time goes by so quickly when we're on here. So here's what I want us to talk about now, just as it relates to the development piece. What are, not giving away too much for January 8th, But what are some things that you believe in developing leaders when you're looking for leaders on your team? What are some things that you should look for when you're trying to develop leaders on your team? Small business, start with small business, and then even for those that are in the corporate space, because you are as well and have a lot of experience in there, how can people develop leaders? Because I've heard, let me
Yeah.
preference this, I've heard people say, you're either born a leader or you're not. You can't develop leaders. And so, that's why I wanted to make sure we talked about that real quick and then we can move forward.
I believe developing leaders is more about soft skills and hard skills. So, one of the first things I will work on is emotional intelligence.
Mm,
And I literally would take them through a class
yes,
because I believe that everyone doesn't have wisdom.
correct.
And so the emotional intelligence training is kind of like all things are profitable, all things are allowable, but not profitable. You
Yes,
can respond a certain way, but what does it profit? How is it going to help? But really taking them through a training on emotional intelligence and helping them reconsider something. I would not do the training because I would want it to be a third party because sometimes
hmm,
people receive better from a third
absolutely.
party so that they can get some nuggets on how do you respond, body language.
Yes,
Sometimes I know with me is written all over my face. Being mindful of our body language because some people can say she frowned at me or he, whatever, and then they can take it the wrong way.
yes,
So those are just things that sometimes we don't think about. We just think about how do we teach and what is our background,
yes,
etc. Other things with developing leaders is I would challenge leaders, of course, it will be their choice to consider some type of mental health, um, at least a session on their own.
yes,
It will be a personal choice. Take advantage of EAP to make sure that they are the best version of themselves. And that's
yes,
corporately and especially in the entrepreneurial space, because a lot of times, as a leader in the entrepreneur space and as a CEO, we can only serve people at the level of our healing
yes,
or
yes,
or when we're better. And
yes,
sometimes even with our message, if we're in a broken space, we're bleeding on social media, we're
yes,
bleeding in different platforms. So we would need to be, or we're bleeding on the people, or we're planning things that are based on hurt and things. So we would need to get some of that stuff uprooted. And
yes,
so communication, I will go back to the basics of, yes, we've learned it in college, the types of communication, two-way communications, and things like that to make sure that we're not always talking about, are you listening?
yes,
Sometimes we hear people, but are you really listening to what they're
exactly.
saying? I saw a sign on LinkedIn that said, leaders who don't listen begin to gain employees who stop talking.
Ooh, that's good.
And
That's
so, what I
good.
believe is if someone is coming to that communication, if someone is constantly coming to us saying, hey, I'm having a problem with this or that, or I believe the culture is getting toxic, et cetera, you're not listening, just do your job, then there's a high turnover rate. People
Yeah.
stop talking, but you're constantly in a rebuilding state. And so I would say the foundation of it would be the soft skills over the hard skills. You can teach certain skills. You can teach Word, you can teach Excel, you can teach
Yes.
some of the things on facilitating and presenting. But those core things are going to be like super important. And then I would get into a SWOT analysis. I know that could be old school and seem a little bit dated, but a SWOT analysis of who they are right now in their life.
Mm,
What do you believe your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are? And then don't really focus on your weaknesses. Don't be overwhelmed by them. But how can we use them as how can we
yes.
strengthen those, or how
Yes.
can you even focus more on your strengths than being insecure about your weaknesses? So that would be the approach that I would take with developing leaders on both sides of the house, corporately and in entrepreneurship.
Okay. So what I want people to understand is that, like, a lot of times, and one of the reasons why I'm doing this is so that people can kind of get a glimpse of how, from the very basic to the very high level professional, there is room for you to be in this room and learn something, right? And also for those people that are not there yet or haven't started in their journey, the biggest thing is you don't wait until you get in position to learn the things that are available to you now. Like this is so if you haven't even started a business, if you haven't gotten that first step, like you don't know what can happen if you get in the room and talk to these people, these amazing leaders who are
Yes.
experienced in their realm. Like these are not people that just woke up last month and was like, I want to start a business and I want to tell y'all, because there are people out here doing that. They're out here
Mhm.
just like, oh, you know what? I feel this a passion. I'm gonna go out here and tell people how to change their lives. And then you put that mirror on their life and that's neither here nor there. So the what I want you to do is to again tell people who you are, your background, because some people do not understand why it is that you're qualified to do what you do. Although you don't need to be qualified by people, but I'm just
Yeah.
giving them right the understanding, but also to encourage them in your own way on why it's important to be in the room to learn about leadership specifically.
Okay. Some of you may have missed the opening. I am, I see my name, I'm Erica Brooks Henry, but not only in the on the entrepreneurial side, I am in the financial space, wealth and marketplace strategist, which basically means helping you establish and helping you build. A lot of people can have an LLC, a lot of people can have an Inc., but that doesn't mean you're in business. You just have an entity that's filed with the Secretary of State. I help you not only establish, but I am also the now what. How do you now monetize that business? We're in business to make money. So how do you
Period.
monetize it? How do you scale? And I know that's a word that we're just kind of a new buzzword, but how do you now grow? And scaling basically means be ready. Stop getting ready and be ready. How do you be ready for the increase? How do you be ready for government contracts? How do you be ready for corporate contracts? So I help you scale and not just be a shell of a business, but to monetize and scale. Not only that, the leadership development part is you as a person. What licenses and certifications do you need for your industry to set you apart from someone else? What licenses and certifications do you need as a leader to make more money in corporate? A lot of times we're going back to traditional college, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there are certain fields where that license or that certification is going to take you further. Let me say this. If I had a PhD in finance, I still couldn't write not one life insurance policy or one investment. It was important that I had licenses in several states. It's important that I have investment license, etc. In the project manager in the corporate America, I am a professional project manager and currently in the role of a program manager, which a lot of times program managers may lead project managers or consultants, or they may be the overseer of several group of projects. And having a PMP, which is a project management professional certification,
Mhm.
has taken me further than any formal education. And here's what I'm saying. I'm not against formal education. I'm very pro it. But what I'm saying is sometimes a lot of people have degrees, but what are we going to do extra to separate us as a leader? So with that particular certification, it is saying that I can manage a project from initiating to closing in any sector, whether it's the government sector, whether it's the finance sector, whether it's constructional engineering, etc. And so what do I help you do? I help you discover what is going to sharpen you in your area and sharpen you as a leader. I am an entrepreneur. I'm not ashamed to say that a lot of times in the social media space, people are making you feel that you're not credible if you're not a full-time entrepreneur. Because guess what? My 9 to 5 is my business partner. My nine to
That part.
five is aligned with my gifts. My gift is administration. It would be silly of me to leave my program manager position, pays benefits, pays six figures. I'm able to develop people,
That part.
that part. And so my thing is, if it was something I wasn't passionate about, then I wouldn't do it. And so what am I saying? Leverage your corporate career. Maybe you're not in corporate, maybe you're in healthcare, etc. You don't have to be a full-time entrepreneur to be successful. I love entrepreneurship, but it doesn't mean that you can't be gifted in both. You could be a
Yes.
leader in both. You could be effective in both. And if you decide to transition, make sure that you have a plan. And one thing I do is help people with an exit strategy, because if we are not producing now in our business, if you resign for your job, you're still not going to be producing because you haven't developed the discipline. You haven't developed the strategy, etc.
Yes.
And so that's the thing. Don't do anything prematurely. Plan, Plan,
I
plan.
I love that you said that because people are out here and in the world of social media, everybody has an opinion on what should and shouldn't be done. And a lot of times I hear people talking about quit your job, y'all out here working these full-time jobs and stuff, and you working for the man and you making a man rich. And it's like, can y'all balance this out and use wisdom? Like, and
Yes.
and I love that you just said what you said because some people jump out like, you know what? Excuse me. I haven't been making the money that I need to make because I'm working this full-time job. So let me jump out here and quit my job and just go full force and have no plan, no strategy, no system, no anything. And
Mhm.
they run out here and fail and fall into depression and all kinds of personal things because they didn't do personal work before they did it. So it's more than just going in and saying, I'm just going to jump into entrepreneurship because if you're not personally developed therapy, all of those different things, you jump out of here in this dog eat dog world, and they're gonna tear you up. Social
Yes.
media will tear you up. So please go ahead. You had
Mhm.
something else you.
I want to also say this. Even though I've been in entrepreneurship for, even before I really understood what entrepreneur was, for like 20 years, there was a time in my life that I was failing greatly as an entrepreneur because I didn't have the inner work done,
Mm-hmm.
which basically I was a people pleaser. And because I was a people pleaser, I didn't know how to say no. So as an entrepreneur, I took on more than I can handle, which
Mm-hmm.
caused me to drop the ball on some things because I
Yes.
didn't say no. I could have said, well, I don't have the bandwidth or capacity to
Yes.
do this now, but I can start in 3 weeks or I can start in 30 days. Because I really love to help people and I really just didn't have the boundaries. I took on a lot. And so that was my lesson learned. And so I just challenge you. That's part of leadership development. It wasn't until I got in counseling that I realized, oh my God, you're a people pleaser. You don't know how to say
Mm,
no and you take
yes.
on too much. And people would think that counseling is when you're deeply depressed and things. I knew something was off. I knew that I was overwhelmed. What happened was I was overwhelmed because I had so many things to do and I wasn't completing much of anything.
Mm,
And I said, I don't want anybody to want anything from me. And I got to the root of it. It was people pleasing. It was not setting the back. Not only was I not saying no, people would text me 11 o'clock at night asking questions. And I
ooh,
would get up
yes.
and I would, let me look this up and things. So I was mentally exhausted. So one thing about being a leader and another thing about being an entrepreneur when you're in control of your destiny is establishing those boundaries. And if you don't know how to establish boundaries, then Sheila is your girl, helping you eliminate excuses and set some things in place. Counseling or the proper coaching may be effective. And it really wasn't until I would say 2017 that I began to be more effective because I had to go look in the mirror and I had to stop some things. And even step back for a moment to be able to
Yes.
press forward. And so, and acknowledgement, it took me acknowledging. I can't say, well, they're just anxious or they're rushing me. No, I didn't give them a realistic time frame.
Yes. Yes. I love it. Oh my God, this is good. And I just realized this is not a podcast, so we need to cut this off. Um, so, but I am so appreciative. Thank you so much, Miss Erica, for coming on here just to give people a few nuggets on what they can expect on January the 8th. Is exactly a week from this coming Sunday in Houston. Eliminating Excuses will be hosting an event. The flyer is posted on my page, but I want you all to go on and follow Erica. You don't have to necessarily request her on a personal page, but follow her on her Instagram. What's Instagram?
It is I Know My Value Original. No, I'm sorry, I Know My Value Official.
Yes, yes. I first of all, y'all that don't know your value, one of the things you talk about is how to make monetize. And I know I'm there, but this was one of the things that I thought about. A lot of times, and I've had this struggle myself with putting a financial value on the services that I offer. And as an executive assistant, I love supporting people. Like I love
Mhm,
being that person you can, hey, give it to Sheila and she's gonna make it
mhm,
happen, right? I love that. I told them when I went into this most recent position, I have no desire to move up into any type of management. I don't want to manage
mhm,
none of y'all people.
mhm.
I love what I do.
Yes.
But when I brought that business over to the personal side and created a business around it, it was like, how do I price this so that I know my value, right? So it's reflective of, because I've heard that people say all the time, some people may not even come into the room if your pricing structure, they're not even going to talk to you if your price is too low. Like, and you
Yes.
won't even know that they disqualified you because your prices were not priced right. So are you going to touch on any of that on the 8th?
I absolutely will. I just say one thing. It won't be
Yes,
negative on the 8th.
be
You got to
great.
come to 8th to get it.
That part.
There was a program that I had that that program switched from I think it was like maybe like $5.99 to $3,000. I got more clients when it was priced appropriately. And, and I struggled. I had a coach who said,
Yeah,
Erica, there's just no way. And it really, I was doing it for free when at the other price point. So I
yeah,
just tell you, I'll touch on it on the 8th. Knowing your value is being able to um, have peace about charging what you know what you've put into a product or a service, and a lot of times you give more, and the same way you've been willing to invest in others, you have to realize that other people are willing to invest in you,
that's
and
good.
people buy what they people we do what we want to do, and we invest in what we
Yes,
value.
we do.
And
Yes,
so you should want to have, it's better to have 5 paying clients than 20 people who want something for free or want to discount your worth and value. And so we'll talk about pricing on January 8th.
oh my God. If you are in Houston, if you can get to Houston, January the 8th is from 1 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon. There is no virtual option. You need to be in the room. Purchase your tickets. You can go on my page. Erica has it on her page. But listen, you all, you need to be in the room. We will be talking about logistics, leadership, legacy, and law. So, planning to have Michelle J. Miller Esquire, our intellectual property trademark attorney, on tomorrow. Let's see, because y'all have some crazy schedules. I'm like, listen, life is life and out here, y'all. But again, to all of you all, if I do not see you, hear from you, happy new year. Thank you,
Yes,
Erica,
happy New
again.
Year.
Please, one last time, tell the people where to follow you, however you want them to follow you. If you want them to go on your personal page, by all means, be great.
Okay,
But
awesome.
go ahead.
Personal page, you can find me and you can actually follow Erica, Erica Brooks Henry. The Facebook page is I Know My Value. And on Instagram, it is I Know My Value Official. Even have a phone number for
Uh-oh.
life insurance and any kind of quotes. It's 404 403 3025. 404 403 3025.
Thank
We're
you so much.
excited.
Listen, we excited. We're gonna be in
Yeah.
Houston live, y'all.
Yes.
Listen, if you need any assistance outside what anything that Erica spoke about, please make sure you reach out to her. She is very responsive and she is integral. Y'all know I don't deal with anybody that lack integrity. And so if you need anything that she offered, any leadership development, if you need a team trained, if you need your own personal issues, or not issues because she's not a counselor, but well, anyway, if y'all need to reach Erica, please reach out to Erica, because now is not the time to procrastinate and slack and try to let me get this all together first before I show up. Let me get this all together before I reach out. Just reach out. You never know what that conversation could do as it relates to progressing you in your business. Have an amazing rest of your day. Choose to be happy. Remember, your response is always your responsibility. Have an amazing day, y'all. Bye bye.
Bye.